Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, welcome back to the channel, and the conveyor belt of year 10 info just keeps on churning. We have a Surtr, closer look post here. Basically going over a lot of the design aspects, visuals, and a decent amount of gameplay, kit information as well. We're going to have, a full reveal of him on the patch note show tomorrow, and I'll be covering that as well, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that, so you don't miss it. But basically, we have some, preliminary info here that I thought I will keep you guys updated on, and I'm very interested to see this myself. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So obviously, Surtr is the fire giant. We all know this. He's been in the game. Well, he technically hasn't been in the game for a long time, but the fire giant has been in the game for a long time, and it was loosely designed off of the god Surtr. Surtr is a significant Jotun in Norse mythology. Jotun, I have no idea how you're actually supposed to say it, someone correct me in the comments. He guards the realm of Muspelheim, which is where Heimdallr sends you to, obviously. A fiery primordial realm and home of the fire giants. Surtr plays a key role in Ragnarok, where he led the fire giants into battle against the Aesir, shattered the Bifrost, slayed Freyr, and then engulfed the world Midgard in flames. So the vision for Surtr. For the monumental 10th year of Smite, we needed a new special god. A god that embodied the tradition of mythology of Smite's core pantheons, and one that would have a deeper meaning in the long term to Smite players, obviously, you know, the fire giant. One character has been a focal point of Smite since its inception, but never got to experience the true glory of battle. This being was treated like a monster, a prisoner, destined to be slain repeatedly for the sport of gods. Surtr, the fire giant, would finally have his revenge. After a year of peace, the gods of Smite have once again awakened a great force of destruction. The repeated experience of gruesome death has brought about an ascension from deep within him, and Surtr is finally able to break free of his prison and fight back against the gods of Smite. No longer will he be chained to the mountain in the conquest map. Surtr finally walks free. So yeah, nice little bit of lore there, bit of epic introduction for him in terms of how the character's going to be. So some core themes here. We have a core theme of destruction. Ragnarok is embodied by Surtr, as we discussed earlier. It's a big part of Ragnarok, and this is a force destined to destroy all gods, which is very thematic within Smite. You know, it's kind of what Smite is all about, you know, the gods fighting to destroy each other. Visuals, obviously, fire giant. We've seen a lot of visuals on him already, and he looks really cool. Inspired by recent iterations of the conquest map boss, Surtr is a tall masculine figure adorned in a magma-imbued armor and Nordic references with that really cool crown as well. Personality, deliberate. Surtr is here to destroy. He is not wild or reckless. He makes every move of annihilation with clear intent and a focused mind, so very meticulous in his planning of destruction, not like a chaotic figure really. And a perspective of grave danger. The Smite gods will need to rally together and fight like never before if they wish to change the course of destiny and prevent Ragnarok, which is not brought about by Surtr, but Surtr is a part of it. So in terms of the artistic process, we have a few preliminary designs here that we're going for with him, like they usually do in these reveal posts. They showcase a few different initial preliminary designs they had that they were going to work off to fully develop the character, and there's a bunch of really different ones here. You know, some of them are much more like a kind of standard human, but with obviously quite beefy because it's Smite. You know, a lot of the standard humanoid gods are pretty beefy. But then there's also some really beefy ones where he's wider than he is tall in one of these, which looks really cool. There's some that look a lot more like the initial fire giant, H here. And there's some that don't really look at all like the fire giant. There's a really cool crown in B here. So some really nice preliminary designs there. Some that look a lot more beefy and tanky, because I think we know he's going to be a warrior. I think we'll get into that in a little bit, but he's going to be a warrior, so making him look beefy is very important. So they started with some explorations of silhouettes featuring a variety of body types, swords, and armor. It became clear immediately that we would need to be careful to not exactly tread into any visual territory already occupied by a lot of the other Norse gods in Smite. So here they have a few sort of secondary design phases, I guess, because this up here is very preliminary. These are just sketches. They won't have taken too long to throw together, whereas these are a lot more detailed in terms of how the god's actually going to look in game, and they're a lot more kind of ready, I suppose. So these are A2, B2, and C2. Man, C2 looks pretty cool. I have to say, C2 looks very cool. That really beefy armor, the gigantic horns on the helmet look really sick. And so yeah, what this is here is they were using Odin and Atlas as references, and they decided to refine the look of Surtr into something that would feel more unique. Odin was the primary reference for visuals to differentiate from, so to make sure he doesn't look too much like a standard Norse god like Odin does. And Atlas was for the scale height reference, because obviously Surtr is going to be a pretty large god, you know, given that he was the fire giant. He's going to be one of the larger gods in the game. He's not going to be like Cthulhu or Jormungandr sized, I don't think, but Atlas is a pretty good reference point, where Atlas is one of the biggest gods, but not in that realm of ridiculously big, like Jormungandr and Cthulhu, where it changes your camera angle. And then here we have another refinement of how he's going to look. So you have the fire giant on the left, the fire giant from, you know, season 9 and prior, and then you have some more in-depth designs here. One where he has cool magma hair. He has either a magma beard or just a general red and orange fiery beard, which looks really sick. This one here, the B, looks a little bit like this one up here with the big horned helmet, but A also has some horns as well. Man, all these designs look really sick. I would have been happy if he'd have looked like any of these, to be honest. If I had to pick a favorite, I think probably B. Just the horns, dude. I'm a sucker for like gigantic helmets and stuff, and that just looks really sick. But I do kind of like the idea of like his hair being kind of like a flame. I think that's kind of interesting from C. And yeah, so here we are. Let me zoom out a little bit so I can get this all on the screen. This is like the kind of overall sort of like concept art design that they went for after going through all of these different phases of like preliminary design, like little black and white concept sketches, and then like 4 finalized kind of designs they were going to go for. This is the one they went for, which looks the most like D from this bit up here, but it does seem to take elements from all of them, to be fair. It's not really the same as like any of these. It's like it's more similar to D or A, but they've definitely like taken a lot of elements. They've even got a little bit of that like magma hair that I was talking about. So yeah, definitely looks really sick. We'll probably get like a little bit more info on like his model and stuff like that later on. Obviously his sword is a pretty important part of him as well. This is, I assume by original they mean like the original Fire Giant sword that we had in like season 9, for example. And there's a bunch of different designs here. There's some like more slimmer, they'll look a little bit more like a katana or something like that. And then some that are absolute like broadswords, like claymore style from A2 here. And then this one, A6, this looks a lot like the sword from, is it Prototype? I've not played the game, but it looks a lot like the sword from that, like it with a little extra bit like coming off the back here. And so yeah, that's all the stuff on the general art for him, but down here we have the gameplay and unique gameplay features, which is what I'm personally most interested in. You know, obviously the god has to look cool, and Surtr does look amazing from what I've seen so far, but the gameplay features are more important to me. I'd say I'm like a 70-30 on like gameplay versus visual design like kind of guy. I'm much more into the gameplay of the god and how it's going to feel. So general gameplay, Surtr is an aggressive warrior designed for the solo lane and heavy pressure on enemy gods. I like it already, especially on the backline. I like it even more. Surtr will be in his opponent's face from minute 1 and generally won't let up throughout the rest of the game. So yeah, very much my playstyle. You know, Arthur, one of my most played gods of all time, is very pressure oriented, especially in like the mid game when he's just diving into the backline, going ham on people, just never letting up with the pressure. Ballona's very similar, very high pressure warrior that I like a lot as well. Unique gameplay features, he has a passive that will allow him to heal a portion of recently damage taken by recovering deployables that drop off of him. So that's pretty interesting. You know, presumably like maybe they knock off chips of his armor or little bits of magma or something come off of him, and they'll be, I assume by deployables they mean similar to what you have from Manticore spikes and Fabulous tubes. So like when he gets hit, some things will fly off of him and you can like run over and collect them and heal up a little bit. So a little bit similar to Hercules in a way, in that like as you take damage you're going to heal more and more, so like he's going to have a lot of longevity in fights if people are constantly hitting him and you can constantly grab these healing pots. You know, maybe you got Caduceus shield on him or something like that. An ability that stacks in power to an improbably high stack limit, rewarding specific timing. So this to me sounds very much like, is it Nasus from League? Nasus Q is like very infamous in League. I think it's Nasus, where when you last hit a minion with it, it gains increased damage. There's also a very similar character in Predecessor for those that have been playing that game, Severog. Every time you kill an enemy with his Q, he also gains like an increased damage on it. So it seems like Smite are also going for a similar kind of design here with Surtr. Personally, I really love that idea. I don't play League, but League I just feel has a lot more interesting character designs than Smite. There are a lot of things Smite does better than League, which is why I play this game and not League, but in terms of character designs, League just has Smite beat a lot of the time, unfortunately. And this is a mechanic that is basically from League, and it's a really cool mechanic. I do like the idea that, like, you know, he's going to be a lane pressure machine, he's going to be last hitting, getting all that pressure, and then as you, like, go throughout the course of the game, making sure you're keeping last hitting, taking enemy camps, and getting even more stacks, you're going to start doing more and more and more damage with this ability. It says it rewards specific timing as well. I don't know if that's just in reference to last hitting, because obviously you do have to have specific timing to be able to last hit until you get to literally one-shot the wave. Like in the early game, you do need timing for that, but this could also be, you know, completely different. It could be in reference to, like, actually being able to hit the ability in general requires specific timing. An ability that spawns a pet, the Fire Imp's Return, so we actually knew a little bit about this already. It seems like he's going to be able to throw an imp at someone, and it's going to, like, I assume deal damage on hit, maybe, like, root or slow or something like that as well, and then the imp is going to stay around and attack people, so that's going to be pretty cool as well. A warrior ability that can also deal magical damage, so that's very interesting. You know, we've had this dynamic for a long time in Smite with Mystical Mail, in that when it is popular, it's very good in solo lane, because if you're having a warrior versus warrior matchup and the enemy's building physical defense, you build Mystical Mail, that magical damage passive on the aura is going to be going unmitigated for most of the laning phase until they get their magical defense online. And so this is going to make him very scary against just in solo lane in general, really. You know, he's a warrior, people are going to be on him to build physical defense against him, but this ability is going to hit very hard because of that, because they're going to have very little mitigations on it. You know, maybe this even coerces people into going magical defense second item, where normally in solo you would go like physical into like either a bruiser or maybe some power or something like that. Usually you don't just go straight into the other type of defense because you're not out of lane by that point and you don't really need it. But yeah, perhaps that can force people to build a little bit differently, and if they don't build differently, they're going to get hit pretty hard by this ability that's being unmitigated. We have an ability where he hurls an object at his enemies, multiple different possible options based on his surroundings that have different effects, so that's interesting. So honestly, I'm stumped on this. I don't really know what this could be referencing. Maybe like depending on where he is on the map, he can get like a different thing, like maybe he pulls a rock out of the ground somewhere, or maybe he grabs a fist of sand if he's in duo lane or something and throws it out and it blinds people. I have absolutely no idea. This is stumping me, so if you guys have any idea what this could be, like gameplay-wise, definitely let me know down below. He has no non-ultimate dash or leap. Interesting. A high-pressure warrior will generally have dashes and leaps to be able to stick to people. High mobility is generally, like, intertwined with high pressure, but that should be interesting. You know, maybe it's like if he gets on you, he's going to absolutely obliterate you, but he can be, like, escaped via dashes and leaps. But, you know, solo laners can easily fit blink in their build, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. You can likely still blink engage. It's just you won't be able to blink and then force their dash and then dash after them kind of thing. You're not going to have that available to you as Surtr. And finally, we have a semi-global ultimate that directly references a key feature that the Fire Giant boss has had in Smite for years. So yeah, we saw this in a little bit of a small gameplay showcase in the Year 10 keynote, where he goes up into the sky and then falls down as a fireball. I thought it was going to be his ultimate, and it is, actually, yeah. So that's going to be decent mobility by the looks of it, and also a lot of, like, not necessarily safety, but the self-banish is very good. So, like, if you dive into the enemy backline and you either kill someone or you get someone low and you realize you overextended a little bit, it seems like the fireball is going to give you a lot of downtime where you can just self-banish yourself. It seems like it lasts about 2 or 3 seconds. And 2 or 3 seconds might not sound like a lot, but in Smite, that's a decently long time, and it can allow for team backup. It can allow for a little bit of a reset on your cooldowns, potentially. You know, if you blow your cooldowns, and then like 3 seconds later you ult, and then 3 seconds after that, you know, maybe your cooldowns are like close to coming back up or something like that. It's similar to Rama's ult, where like you can dash and then ult, and then by the time you come down from the ult, your dash is only a few seconds off cooldown. That's Rama. But yeah, that's all we have for Surtr so far. Visually looks absolutely amazing. I'm very hyped to see him in game, and the kit design, he looks cool. A high pressure aggressive warrior. It's been a while since we've had one of those. I think Shiva was the last warrior, right? Unless I'm missing something. I think Shiva was the last warrior, so it's been a little while. Should hopefully be very cool to see a new face in solo lane. Seems like he's going to have a lot of new mechanics as well, you know, being able to deal magical damage, having that stacking in power on one of his abilities, where it's like, I assume this means like it's going to have a ridiculously high limit where it's like 300 or something like that, and just as over the course of the game it just gets more and more and more powerful. So that could potentially be really good as well. Super excited for him. Let me know what you guys think about Surtr down below, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.